Alaskan crab fishing. You've probably seen it on TV. Huge waves, icy decks, and guys who look like they wrestle bears for fun. It's one of the toughest jobs on the planet, a high-stakes gamble against the unforgiving Bering Sea. But long before the massive steel cages and hydraulic lifts, this story began much more quietly. It started with the people who have called this land home for thousands of years. The indigenous peoples of Alaska, like the Aleut and Alutiiq, were the original crabbers. They didn't have multi-million-dollar boats, but they had knowledge passed down through generations. They understood the tides, the seasons, and the crabs. Their tools weren't made in a factory. They were crafted by hand, using what the land provided. Imagine weaving traps from spruce roots or flexible willow branches. These weren't the giant 700-pound pots we see today. They were smaller, lighter, and designed with an intimate understanding of the environment. The process was slow and deliberate. Each trap was a piece of art, a tool built not just to catch, but to respect the resource. This wasn't about hauling in millions of pounds of crab. It was about providing food for the community, a sustainable practice that worked in harmony with the ocean's rhythm for centuries. These early pots were ingenious. They were often cone-shaped or box-like, with an entrance that was easy for a crab to get into, but tricky to get out of. Bait, like fish scraps, would be placed inside to lure the crabs in. The traps would be lowered into the water from small boats or even from the shoreline, marked by a simple float. It was a tough, hands-on job, requiring patience and skill. There was no high-tech gear to find the best spots, just pure, hard-earned knowledge of the local waters and the creatures that lived within them. It was a direct connection between the fishermen and the sea. This traditional way of fishing set the foundation for everything that came after. It proved that you could successfully harvest from the sea. But as the demand for crab grew far beyond local villages, the methods had to change. The small-scale, sustainable approach of the native Alaskans was about to meet the industrial age. The quiet ingenuity of handcrafted traps would soon give way to something much bigger, much heavier, and much more dangerous. The job was about to get a whole lot dirtier, and the stakes were about to get a whole lot higher for both the fishermen and the crabs. As the world discovered the delicious taste of Alaskan king crab, the fishing industry exploded. The small, woven pots of the past just couldn't keep up with the booming demand. This led to the age of steel. Fishermen needed pots that were bigger, stronger, and could withstand the brutal conditions of the open ocean. So they started building them out of welded steel frames covered in heavy-duty nylon mesh. These new pots were giants, often measuring 7 or 8 feet across and weighing over 700 pounds when empty. They were designed to catch as many crabs as possible in a single drop. These massive steel cages changed the game completely. They allowed fishing crews to operate on an industrial scale, hauling in thousands of crabs per trip. But this new power came with new risks. Working with these behemoths was, and still is, incredibly dangerous. Imagine trying to manage a stack of these monstrous pots on a boat deck that's pitching and rolling in a violent storm. A swinging pot could easily crush a man. A tangled line could pull a fisherman overboard into the freezing water in an instant. The job became a constant battle against the weight of the gear and the fury of the sea. The design was simple but effective. A large steel box with 2 funnel-shaped entrances, called tunnels, on opposite sides. Crabs, attracted by the bait bag full of herring or cod, would crawl up the ramp and drop into the pot. Once inside, the shape of the tunnel made it very difficult for them to find their way out. The pots were dropped to the seabed in long lines or strings, sometimes miles long, marked by a series of buoys. After soaking for a day or two, a hydraulic power block would be used to haul the heavy, crab-filled pots back to the surface. This era was all about maximizing the catch. The pots were brutally efficient, but they weren't very selective. They caught everything that crawled inside, including female crabs, young crabs that were too small to be legally kept, and other marine species. This created a new problem: bycatch. For every keeper crab that made it to the market, many other creatures were pulled from the depths only to be thrown back, often injured or dead. The steel revolution made fortunes, but it also took a heavy toll on the ocean ecosystem and the crab populations themselves. It was clear that a smarter approach was needed. After years of intense fishing, scientists and fishermen saw that the crab populations were in trouble. The old way of thinking, bigger is better, wasn't sustainable. The industry had to evolve, or it would fish itself out of existence. This led to a new era of crab pot design, focused not just on catching crabs, but on protecting the future of the fishery. The modern pot might look similar to its predecessors from a distance, but up close, it's a whole lot smarter. It's a piece of equipment designed with conservation in mind, a tool that tries to work with the ecosystem, not against it. One of the most important innovations is the escape ring. These are small, circular openings, usually about 4 to 5 inches in diameter, built into the walls of the pot. They are big enough to let smaller juvenile crabs crawl out, but small enough to keep the larger, legal-sized male crabs inside. This is a simple but brilliant idea. It means the young crabs never even have to leave the water. They can escape and continue to grow and reproduce, ensuring there will be crabs to catch in the future. It's like a bouncer at a nightclub, only letting the mature crabs into the party. Another clever feature is the biodegradable cord. One of the biggest problems in any fishery is ghost fishing. This happens when a pot is lost at sea. Maybe the line gets cut or a storm sweeps it away. A traditional pot could continue trapping and killing marine life on the seabed for years. To prevent this, modern pots are now required to have a biodegradable panel, often called a rot cord. This special cotton cord is used to hold a section of the pot's wall closed. If the pot is lost, the cotton cord will rot away within a few months, creating a large opening for any trapped crabs or other animals to escape. The materials have improved too. While the frames are still made of steel for strength, the mesh and other components are now lighter and more durable. Everything is designed to be more efficient and, crucially, safer for the crew. Better pot designs make them easier to stack and handle, reducing the risk of accidents on deck. These aren't just minor tweaks, they are fundamental changes that have transformed the industry. They show a shift in thinking, from a brute force approach to a more calculated, responsible method of harvesting from the sea. It's still a dirty job, but it's a smarter and safer one. The evolution of the crab pot is a perfect example of how innovation can solve tough problems. But the pot itself is only part of the story. Today's crab fishing industry is a blend of old-school grit and cutting-edge technology. Fishermen now use advanced sonar and GPS mapping to find crabs more efficiently. This means they can set their pots in the most promising locations, reducing the number of pots they need to deploy and the amount of fuel they burn searching. This technology helps them avoid sensitive habitats on the ocean floor, protecting the delicate ecosystem from damage. This combination of smarter pots and better technology creates a powerful force for conservation. By using escape rings and biodegradable panels, fishermen are actively protecting the crab populations they depend on. They are leaving the young crabs and the females to grow and reproduce, which is like making an investment in the future of their own business. It's a system where everyone wins. The fishermen can maintain a stable and profitable livelihood, and the crab stocks can remain healthy for generations to come. It's a far cry from the gold rush mentality of the past. The job is still incredibly dangerous, and the Bering Sea is just as unforgiving as it ever was. But the focus has shifted. The goal is no longer just to catch as many crabs as possible, as fast as possible. The goal is to run a sustainable and responsible operation. Fishery managers now set strict quotas based on scientific surveys of the crab populations. Every single crab is counted, and once the quota is met, the season is over. This careful management, combined with the technological advancements in the gear, helps to create a crucial balance between commerce and conservation. Ultimately, the story of the crab pot is about more than just a piece of fishing gear. It's about people learning to work with nature instead of just taking from it. From the hand-woven traps of native Alaskans to the high-tech, eco-friendly pots of today, the journey shows a growing respect for the ocean and its resources. It proves that with smart ideas, tough work, and a willingness to change, even the dirtiest jobs can be done in a way that protects the planet. It's about ensuring that the thrill of the catch and the taste of Alaskan crab can be enjoyed for many years to come.